Hey guys, time to do some yard work. It is a beautiful late September day. The weather's gotten really warm and a little humid lately, so it feels like summer again, and I love it. My lawn really needs to be mowed. We had a big rainstorm the other day that lasted a few days, but before that I had been watering regularly, so it's pretty green. I got rid of most of the brown spots. I also fertilized 2 weeks ago, and I haven't mowed the lawn in 2 weeks, so it really needs to be done. It's actually really tall. I might have trouble mulching. I might have to use the chute, it's so tall. So in the last video, I used my cousin's electric weed whacker. Well, I gave that back, so now I'm going to be using my gas one again. And I'm going to be using that red lawnmower to mow, but somebody might be coming to check it out and buy it today. So halfway through this video, I might have to switch to my orange one, which would be great. So I was expecting there to be some leaves on the ground, but there's almost nothing. Just this one tree back here likes to drop leaves really early, but it doesn't drop very many. Everything else is still not quite green, but kind of brown, but not ready to fall. I feel like usually some of the smaller maple trees start to drop their leaves early, but hasn't been the case. So next month's video should have a lot of leaves, but nothing right now. All right, time to get to work. All right, that's all for the weed whacking. Time to mow the lawn. Now there's a couple of spots I'm gonna skip when I mow the lawn. This area here I de-thatched a couple weeks ago and put down some grass seed, and then there's some more areas up higher where I did the same thing. I'm probably gonna skip those areas and just mow around them for another week or two. But the whole rest of the lawn is very green and very tall, and it is dying to be mowed. All right, all finished. Man, it looks so good. What a dramatic change from a month ago. It hasn't been quite as hot just because the sun's going down earlier and coming up later. The temperature's been a little cooler, but probably mostly is the fact that I fertilized 2 weeks ago and I had been watering a lot since then, plus all the rain we got. But there's almost no brown anymore. It's almost all really good green. It really looks like how my lawn looks in the spring, actually. The orange lawnmower was actually struggling through the tall grass, which is funny. That red one, even though it's kind of a cheap mower, it never struggles through tall grass, and it never spits out any clumps either. It always spreads out the mulched clippings very evenly, which is a nice feature for that machine. All right, let's look around real quick. Down by the stream, there's one tree right here that's in the way, but I planted grass down there and it started to grow, but as these trees thickened up, it blocked off all the light, so it didn't grow really thick and robust. But I need to go down there at some point and rake all those leaves and pull a lot of weeds. It looks bad, but actually you can pull this many weeds in half an hour. And I have to have one more fire down there to burn a couple of leftover logs, and then I can get rid of the fire barrel, which would be nice. I don't know when I'm going to build any bridges, not anytime soon, unfortunately, but eventually I will, and I will definitely be making a video for that. So these are a pair of small perennial sunflowers that I planted 2 years ago, and they actually did come back this year, and for the first time they flowered. Now they're in pretty rough shape. I think I should probably put some more supports in when I grow them next year. Like, that's one of my driveway markers, but maybe some of those metal tomato plant holder things that they have, maybe I'll put a couple of those down. I was hoping these would kind of grow and expand and sort of create a wall, and they might eventually in enough time, but oh well, it still looks a little cool. All right, checking in on the big sunflowers. So this one and this one, I already cut the flower off and they're in the shed drying out. This one's gonna have to get cut pretty soon, and those two. So just between these 5 plants, I'm gonna have an insane amount of sunflower seeds. I mean, I'm probably gonna fill like a 5-gallon bucket. There's gonna be so many seeds. So I'm definitely gonna plant new ones next year. I might do some rogue sunflower seed planting around town just to use up some of the seeds. And it will be funny to see if they actually grow. Whether or not they grow naturally all depends on what kind of year we have. If it's dry like this year, they won't grow at all. But if we have a rainy spring and into the summer, then yeah, just throwing down some seeds, they should grow pretty good. It would be hilarious if random piles of dirt have giant 10-foot sunflowers sticking out of the top of them. If that happens, I will definitely let you know. This guy's my little dud sunflower. He did make it above the top of the screen though, so that's something. And he's starting to grow a little flower. I don't know why this one is so different than the rest. They all came from the same seeds, but who knows? And finally, the ones out front. These ones would have grown a lot taller if they had more time, but they definitely sprouted a lot of flowers, which is cool. I don't know why these two have 1 million flowers per plant, but it's kind of an interesting look. It looks a little different than just the standard one giant flower at top. So I'm gonna do this again next year too, for sure. Just a nice row of sunflowers. I'm gonna try to grow these ones a little earlier in the season so they have more time to grow big and tall like the ones out back. All right, well, that's it. I'll see you guys next month. By next month, I do expect there to be some leaves on the ground for sure. The end of October, I don't know if that's going to be the peak leaf cleanup yet or if it's going to be a little bit after that, but I would expect next month's video to have a ton of leaf cleanup. Until then, I'll see you guys later.